and Facebook. Hello, hello. What is this? All right, we are live. Are we? I'm pretty sure we're live. So today I want to start showing Instagram is black. Instagram is black. Why? But it's streaming? Huh. I can't fix it on the fly. It is what it is. So, we're going to run through doing my style of Zenithal highlights. I just want to point out that I am the farthest thing from professional. If you do want professional lessons, Hecatina in Dartmouth Jeff is an excellent teacher and a very skilled artist, and he would gladly give you some great professional help. My main goal is to show my handful of Discord community how to paint like I do. So we're going to get started. It's basically dry brush, wash, dry brush. There's not a lot to it. And I have this little heater over here to cheat drying some wash in between. And we'll start with this big guy. And I'm going to use one of these nice little angled brushes that I get all beat to crap with some Vallejo Off-White, German Tank Crew White. It's almost empty. Very almost empty. There we go. So this first initial dry brush, kind of push a little heavy, get a little deeper than you normally would, because we're going to deepen the shadows back down with the ink wash. So try and only pull in one direction. Wherever your light source is going to be, I always typically just pick above them because it's easier. And I paint army, so things look consistent that way. What? Okay. Apparently Facebook is the only stream that's working. We'll try and get that better next time. But Facebook's pretty universal and easy to find and use, so should be alright. Try to avoid, see, I almost went under there, that was foolish. I said I'm no pro. Just a bro. So these are primed with Vallejo primer. You're supposed to be using an airbrush, but it works very well as a brush on as well. Oof, too heavy. Having an opportunity to download and print the newest set from Castle Cladding, but there's some very, very cool looking Ratman. Who doesn't love Ratman? Zoom that in a bit more maybe. It's a weird 10-second delay between when I do stuff and when it shows up on my preview. Just try and bring out as many of those details as you can. All these models are 3D printed by us and will eventually be available in our store when we get the webpage fixed. And by we, I mean I and my wife. So it takes a bit of time sometimes. I'm not a brush licker, but I'm a hand painter. This thing here, I think somebody could definitely use this in a Sisters of Battle army. This is ridiculous. Cast and play. If you have a 3D printer and want something that's got its unique style, without just having titties everywhere, they're pretty damn good in my opinion. I've painted a lot of their stuff over the last few years. Headpiece. Don't be afraid to get diggy. That's what I say, diggy. You're like pushing a little harder than you normally would. If you can hear that. It's the only time my paintbrush makes that noise. This is very good resin. Can take a beating. You see no broken parts on any of this yet. Can still happen. Here, kind of want to bring out some highlight of that. Be careful not to go underneath. Really nice rich shadows you already have there. Right. Dude, this thing is just... It's being down sampled on your guys' end. Take it easy in these deep shadow spots, of course. Brush is starting to really show its age. Clean it up a little. prime brushes is usually just find something you can waste. I did buy a set of these Army Painter ones that I wasn't really impressed with. As you can see how it looks. Look like that in the package. Use my cheater heater. Try to brush it out pretty quick. I'm not sure if I prefer this method over the airbrush. I think if I have a lot of stuff to prime, the airbrush is the way to go. But for a few characters or a small project, it works pretty good. And this concludes our black and white challenge. If it were that easy. Yeah, some people might not like the 3D prints, but I sure do love them. Some of these are going to be challenging to paint. How did you? Especially that tiger guy. Haven't done a lot of animals besides some dinos. If you're not already a member of our Discord server, which I'm pretty sure you are, we do have all kinds of crazy stuff going on there all the time. We were streaming some multiplayer Halo last night. My son and I were having a Saturday evening, hanging out with some friends from across the planet, playing some video games. Whatever your hobby is, we're probably into it too. That's a little broad. You can definitely see the need to want to upgrade to a 4K very soon though. There's a few spots that I would like to improve. It's not much. Do a bit more on the very top. this initial dry brush isn't quite as important. The secondary one, you want to be very light, and you definitely only want to pull in the direction of your light source. Very cool model. This one's got some great stuff too. There's a giant worm that I want to print. So now, ink wash, or however you want to approach it. This I mix myself with black ink, retarder, and flow aid, distilled water. Normally I wouldn't go on about distilled water, but we live very rural, and our water comes from a river, so it doesn't take long for it to grow things. This is one of the only things I make myself because I go through a lot of it. I didn't bring the bigger brush down, so we'll use this number 2 Cosmo Top Spin by Da Vinci, which we sell. Almost everything I use, besides some of the paint, because I'm a paint snob and I love my Da Vinci, or my Vallejo colors. You can buy on our web store. When it's up and running again, which is this week's mission. And things go back to work tomorrow morning. That, and I think I may have found another potential building. Maybe. So just an all-over ink wash. So if you haven't used washes a lot, I like to make them the old skin palette. But this is the kind of consistent one, just to run into the cracks. Might be redundant information, but somebody might watch the backup clip of this sometime and be like, oh shit. I wish they weren't so picky about music on this stuff. I have a wonderful Sirius XM subscription. Some liquid metal would go down right good right now. Some great new albums coming out recently if you're a metalhead. Knew the sugar was pretty damn good. If you haven't heard the Lamb of God cover of Wake Up Dead with Megadeth, I will give you the 5-minute grace period to go check that out right now. If it's your thing. Second screen. Sorry to anybody trying to get on the Instagram feed. I had it working in a test, and then an application it apparently has failed. But Instagram is notoriously hard to work with when it comes to professional style streaming. Of course, the only professional thing about my setup is the amount of money I've sunk into my computer. But all in good fun, right? Too much in there. Pretty good. Oh. Big. Really looks like something from Sisters of Battle. Shouldn't say that. Set off a GW algorithm. I've already gotten enough strange attention lately. I don't need them after me. Now this is going to be a challenge because I don't non-metallic metal. But this doesn't seem like the kind of model that you would paint without non-metallic metal. Maybe it's time to try? I don't know. I'll save this one for last. But I find that the heavy dry brush and then the ink wash gives you a really nice gradient. And then you just hit that again with another off-white or pure white very lightly on the tips of things. And then go in and manually start picking out highlights after that. And I'm sure there's limitations to how I do things. And it takes forever. Because I will spend a few days applying glaze after glaze on top of this highlight until I get the desired effect. And then put colored highlights on top of that. Some people might seem this is a little redundant. The dry brush does it a lot. And that's cool. This is my time to make the universe slow down, so if it takes me a month to paint a few dudes, I'm cool with that. Definitely have to find a better setup for my lights because they're half blinding me. gonna say I want to upgrade a printer, and then I don't know if you guys can see it, but I will get some pictures. But there is very, very small ruins all along these shoulder pads, and they look pretty darn good. We use Mars 2 printers because that's what we invested in at the time. And even though printers are pretty cheap right now, it's expensive to retrofit a whole tiny print farm. And let's be realistic, it's 2022. I mostly print for myself now. I do more FDM printing commercially than I do resin printing because everybody's got a resin printer, which is awesome. It's one of the most accessible hobbies on the planet right now. New to 3D printing, you can join our Discord. We do a lot of talking about 3D printing. If you're not into 3D printing and you join our Discord, just mute the 3D printing channel because it'll drive you nuts. I had my cheater Jamberry nail dryer going. My daughters were very nice to loan me their nail dryer and a couple of cosmetic brushes if I needed them. I think we're doing alright with what we have, but I appreciate the offer. I'll probably go out and buy them shiny new ones just because they did offer them. Yet another sales pitch. If you have kids that are trying to get into this kind of thing, or you want them to, we have a 12-year-old that absolutely loves painting miniatures and got her first paint set for her birthday this year. Makes me very proud of her for asking for one. And she has a conquest army. Which I think these guys would make a great proxy elite crossbowmen from the 100 Kingdoms. Too bad this is the only pose. One this and one standing, so all I can do is mirror them. But if I ever add to that army, that's what I'll use. So this isn't just watching paint dry, this is watching diluted paint dry. Too much. Our paint racks. Another thing that might throw up on the webpage. Of course, the ever controversial Brohand. If it triggers you, you suck. color to dry a little quicker so we can move on. I thought I planned everything. So well, have some Pepsi. See, we have some nice deep shadows on our cloak now. I think kind of hard to tell because this ink has a bit of a shine to it. Because that is very wet there still. You can always go in and add more shadow too where you want to. It's always whatever you want. It's as much or as little effort as possible you want to put into this technique. Sometimes I just dry brush them and go. More so lately I've been going all out and then filling in colors with or shadows with grays and blacks in between. And paint drying off camera. Hey, we can show off this. This is an almost completed project that the aforementioned Jeff from Hecatena will be painting. It's coming together very nicely. Eight inches of solid resin. This time we managed to cut and key it so there was very minimal seams. And it still stands by itself. There's a few parts to this that are my own. The two left and right feet. We had the feet were backwards before. That was a fun new challenging thing to do. Swap feet and make it look natural. And that's my favorite projects are these ultra unique pieces that you only ever do once in a lifetime. I am that guy that gets bored with doing the same job over and over again. Which is why I batch paint armies. Because then you're just doing it all at once. It's nice and dry in there now. Ever doing the yard sale thing and you see a Jamberry kit, grab it. A little heater, especially on humid days, can save you some real grief. And I know it's cheating. Alright. So the next step, I'm going to use very light come on, just one more drop. There we go. That should be enough for this one dude. So now I'm going to switch to a softer brush. It's a cheap little cosmetic brush from the dollar store. Maybe not this one. Maybe this one. Yeah, this one's a little less floofy. We're just going to hit where we want the light to land. We'll bring out the edges that we just washed over. This guy is not mounted very well to this sticky stuff. There we go. So this time we only want to pull in the direction of our light source. Like I said before, I always choose from top down because it makes consistency across armies a little easier. Now we want to avoid any spots we have shadows. Maybe give a little touch right there. Of course, the Jamberry is going to dry out your other paint way quicker. So maybe that's not such a great idea. No. Gimme. This moment brought to you by the Gimporium of Gore. Across the shoulders, the helmet. Oh, this crossbow. It's not moving there, little fella. Down here in these coattails. A little bit. The only downside to using a stick attack is when it gets pushed over top of what you're trying to paint. Unless that's what you want to do. See, we've created a pretty neat lighting effect, fairly simply, I guess. The key now is to make sure you're only hitting those very, very high spots. I'll often take my second favorite white. This is a Vallejo Air Pure White. Also empty, apparently. Must be getting time to make other things. This stuff. If you're not making a mess, are you really having fun? I'm going to just touch tops of these sleeves, the very top of his cloak, shoulder armor, his crossbow, and his helmet. Always pulling away from the light source if possible. Here on his knee. A bit more on the tip of his boot. Now this is where I will, this time anyways, not always, but take a brush and go in and add some manual highlights with the pure white. Oh, dude. Because it gives me an opportunity to show off my wet palette. Customizable with just about anything you can think of when it comes to decals. Because we can cut and make them for most PNG files. Haven't yet figured out a price. It won't be very expensive. The palettes are like $15 without customization. So they're a great value. They're a good size for miniature painting, I think. We'll find out, that's for sure. And it has this really neat side compartment for adding water. Which I don't know if that's an innovation in the wet palette space or not, but I sure thought it was neat. So now we still want to keep our paint super thin, or I do. I'll use a bit of my thinner distilled water, flow aid, and retarder. I'm going to move the lamp, hopefully it doesn't wash you guys out, because I really need to see for this. Oh yeah. Homemade light filter, anybody? So, kind of like the old tried and true edge highlighting. I'll take the pure white. Add some nice highlights on the edges. Try to stay center frame here. So you see, without the base, the handle allows you to anchor yourself. I'm not saying it's better or worse than anybody else's product, just saying it's mine. I designed it myself. On the other side that time, I think it was well worth it. No, I certainly can't afford to pay $40 for a fancy anything. Unless there's somehow I can get a return on that investment. Which is why we're sitting here doing streams after upgrading the old desktop. to go further than today's video. We'll be doing them every Sunday. Or I will be doing them. While my wife runs interference with our children. And you can always feel free to join our Discord server. The link is always in the link tree. It's always open. It's never locked behind a paywall. And we have an incredible group of artists from here in Nova Scotia and across the pond in Europe, in the UK, and they're everywhere. Some people from Western Canada, some people from Central Canada, a couple guys from the US. Multicultural Discord, that's what it is. Highlighting is a delicate skill that takes a ridiculous amount of practice. Mostly on getting your paint consistency right. See, look, there's a new mistake. You might not be able to see it, but there's 3 tiny supports still stuck to his helmet. And there they ever. Of course, this has been printed and post-cured for a while now. Yay. Well, that left a nasty little spot there that only I can see, but I know it's there. So you can hide it. Yeah, it's better. That one was a little thick. Still using mostly synthetic brushes. I haven't graduated to natural yet. I've attempted to a few times, but just haven't pulled the trigger. I do have a couple Sable tiny brushes, but kind of developed past using tiny brushes to do tiny things and just using a normal brush to do it. So it doesn't get used very often. I won't say if I've developed skill or just don't give a shit anymore. Oh, and the YouTube stream is not up because I didn't realize we needed 24 hours notification before we started doing live streams. But after that initial 24-hour period, we can live stream whenever we feel like. So, first stream jitters, I guess. Can't go too perfectly smooth. Some details on the bells and stuff. It's very warm down here. We're filming in the 3D printing lab, so you might be able to hear that squeaking and squawking in the background. I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to see my metadata. 4 viewers. Well, that's a few more than I actually expected. Thank you for joining me. Well, that was unfortunate. Not hard to fix. Pardon me. Yes, we will just leave. That's a sign. Says you already highlighted me. Now, with the way I do my painting, I use a lot of very thin, translucent as possible coats, so I can take advantage of all these highlights. And then when I go to later blend everything together with highlights and color, I can see where the gradients are going to fall. If that makes any sense. Now, these guys I'm being particularly picky at. The 100 Kingdoms and Spire armies that are on our painting Instagram were just done with a dry brush, ink wash, dry brush, wax the paint to them, because there's a lot of beads here. kind of vibe. So there is some sort of demand for me to keep doing this outside of just for fun. We'll start upgrading equipment. First thing being 4K camera instead of my poor cell phone. Though it has an extremely good camera on it, it's always in threat of receiving a phone call. Say for being quite possibly the cheapest wet palette on the market, it is performing very well. It has basically a baking paper style paper. It has a weird coating on it that I thought was going to hinder the operation of the wet palette, but it seems to be working very well. This is working better than my Army Painter one at 3 times the cost now. $35 friggin' Canadian. For the paintbrush holder that is only useful as long as you keep the plastic clear caps for your paintbrushes. I tried, it didn't work. So I designed a sword rack instead. Throw a couple in here in this crevice just because there's some detail in here that I don't want to lose just because of the shadow. Of course, just like anything else, you can't overdo it, which I'm risking doing the longer I keep picking these out. Awesome. Thanks for showing up, Joe. Thanks for the support, brother. Always appreciate it, man. Have a good shift. There's a bit of a weird delay, but I do get comments on Facebook. I use my fingertip to try to mute the highlights sometimes. I don't know if it's doing me any good or if it's just picking it right up. Sometimes a quick way to fix it, a little screw up. I just got into the groove and went completely silent, sorry. It's gonna happen though. See if we're another spots to put like stuff. Maybe. Always find more. that one backwards, but easy fix. Maybe. Yeah, that's drawing fast. Oof, that sucked. Maybe a slightly smaller brush. Probably shouldn't say some nonsense and tell everybody about how they're supposed to thin or pink. I'm pretty sure it's universally accepted nowadays. Little bird there. Came out a bit. And also people that are interested, Cast and Play has a full package every month that has a D&D adventure and all the miniatures you need to pull it off. You can subscribe to them for fairly cheap, 12 or 15 bucks Canadian, or we can always hook you up with everything. Obligatory just a tip joke. He's done. Just realized the ridiculous amount of time I've spent on him. We've been at this for almost 2 hours. No, an hour. My soft bears have been running for almost 2 hours. That's pretty good. Throw some highlights on this fella. I didn't even dry brush this day. Let him do shit. So these wet pallets were really great. I like them. It's small. It has a locking lid that kind of wants to seal. It's got a lip here, which is more than other ones. I mean, it's not a high-end red grass or anything, but for not being one you made on your own, it's pretty decent. This is why I use synthetic brushes and print with as environmentally friendly materials as I can, or sustainable, because I waste a lot of paper towel and things like that. These Vallejo air colors, you might instinctively think that, you know, I don't have an airbrush, I can't use those. But for, if you're really new to miniature painting, they are basically thinned out of the bottle for really great application. It takes a lot of that mystery out of thinning paint, because you realistically don't have to. I was alerted earlier today that the new Army Paint of Air line is available through my supplier. As well as the new speed paints. And speed paints, if they're like contrast and are a translucent pigment, then they will work very well over top of all of this red work. So we may just have to order up the sets, full sets of those, and give it a try. So you can see I'm getting a bit of black here because I wasn't patient and let it dry. Those spots that we can see is very obvious. It's kind of so cool for a cat name. Cat dudes are lizard people in Skyrim. They usually chose lizard people. Didn't have a cat named this cool. This dude's gonna be fun. I caught that just before I went back at it. We're gonna let him dry a bit more, I think. You can see he is going to be a ton of fun to paint. Let me try out an extra light here. Oh, I don't plug in. So, hopefully that helps those that were curious and placated those that wanted me to justify myself. And I will see you next Sunday, where we will start whacking colors to this stuff, or maybe work on the base. I haven't decided yet, but the base is this cool. That's not the crater. The base is upstairs, but it's a big crater. You've seen it. It's in the media. Thank you everybody for showing up. Hopefully it was enjoyable and useful. And thank you always for the support of the brokers and wherever I am with that at the time. Now I just gotta figure out how to shut down my streams. Peace out. Love you guys.